The leather chair in Attorney Morrison's office creaked as my mother leaned forward to sign the papers that would transfer my entire inheritance to my sister. $500,000 that my grandmother had specifically earmarked for me, gone with a few strokes of a pen. "Your sister needs it more," Mom said, not even looking at me as she signed. "She has 3 kids to put through college. You're successful enough." Dad nodded sagely, adding his signature. "You understand, don't you, Olivia? Family helps family." I sat perfectly still, watching them give away my birthright like it was pocket change. My sister Madison sat across from me, tissue in hand, playing the struggling single mother to perfection. She'd been perfecting that act for 15 years. "My name is Olivia Chen, and I'm 34 years old. I've been a financial advisor for 12 years, building my client base from nothing to managing over $200 million in assets. But to my family, I've always been invisible. The quiet middle child who handled the boring money stuff, while my older brother became a surgeon and my younger sister became a professional victim." "Of course I understand," I said quietly, pulling out my phone. "Family helps family. Excuse me for just one moment. I need to make a quick call to my office." They barely acknowledged me, too busy congratulating themselves on their generosity with my money. I stepped into the hallway and made the call that would change everything. "Jennifer? It's Olivia. Execute the Hazel Chin Trust reorganization we discussed." "Yes, immediately. Full restructuring as permitted under Section 7. I returned to find them toasting with champagne the attorney had produced. Madison was already talking about house renovations and European vacations for the children's education. "Olivia," Mom gestured with her champagne flute. "Have some champagne. Don't look so glum. You'll get your turn when we're gone. Though the way you manage money, you'll probably have more than all of us by then," Dad joked, the same joke he'd been making since I was 16 and started doing the family taxes because he couldn't be bothered. I accepted the champagne but didn't drink. Attorney Morrison, who'd known our family for 30 years, gave me a curious look. He'd tried to talk my parents out of this, I knew, but they'd insisted. "Olivia won't mind," they'd told him. "She's always been sensible about money." Sensible. That's what they called it when I paid for my own college while they funded Madison's 3 failed business ventures. Sensible when I bought my own car at 16, while they bought my brother a BMW for getting into med school. Sensible when I never asked for anything because I knew the answer would always be that someone else needed it more. What they didn't know was that being sensible, and being ignored, had given me access to something far more valuable than my $500,000 inheritance. It started when Grandma Hazel was diagnosed with dementia 8 years ago. The family had gathered for an emergency meeting about her care and, more importantly, her money. Grandma Hazel wasn't just comfortable. She was genuinely wealthy, having inherited her own father's textile business and grown it into a small empire before selling it in the 90s. "We need someone to manage her finances," my mother had said. "Make sure the nursing home is paid, handle her investments, that sort of thing." Everyone had looked at each other awkwardly. My brother was too busy with residency. Madison was too emotional to handle it. My parents claimed they were too old to learn new systems. "Olivia can do it," Madison had suggested. "She likes that boring numbers stuff." And just like that, I became the trustee of Grandma Hazel's trust. What started as a chore nobody wanted became the most important role in the family. Not that any of them realized it. Grandma Hazel, even in her fog of dementia, had moments of sharp clarity. During one visit, she gripped my hand and said, "You're the only one who visits without asking for money. Promise me you'll protect it from the vultures." I'd promised, not fully understanding what she meant until I dove deep into the trust documents. Grandma Hazel, it turned out, had been far cleverer than anyone gave her credit for. The trust was structured in layers, with built-in provisions that gave the trustee enormous power under certain circumstances, including the ability to restructure beneficiary distributions if family harmony and fiduciary responsibility were threatened. She'd also left detailed notes in her safety deposit box, which I discovered during a routine inventory. Pages and pages in her careful handwriting, documenting every loan she'd given Madison that was never repaid. Every time my parents had asked for help with their poor investments, every family member who'd come calling only when they needed money. At the bottom of one page, she'd written, "Olivia is the only one who never asked. Make sure she has the tools to protect herself." I'd been protecting and growing that trust for 8 years. What my family thought was worth around $5 million was actually worth $50 million, thanks to careful investment and reinvestment of dividends they didn't even know existed. They received their modest monthly distributions and assumed that was all there was. Earth to Olivia. Madison's voice cut through my memories. Stop being such a sourpuss. It's not like you need the money anyway. You're right, I said, raising my champagne glass. Here's to family helping family. We finished the paperwork, and I endured another hour of their self-congratulations. Madison hugged me on the way out, whispering, "Thanks for understanding, sis. I knew you wouldn't make a fuss." I drove home in silence, my phone buzzing with confirmations from Jennifer. By the time I reached my apartment, the restructuring was complete. Every document filed, every T crossed, every I dotted. Grandma Hazel had made sure the trust was ironclad, and I'd just activated its most powerful provision. The first call came at 9 p.m. that night. My brother Michael, who hadn't spoken to me in 6 months, suddenly needed to hear my voice. "Hey Liv, how's it going? Crazy day, huh? Mom told me about the inheritance thing. Really cool of you to help Madison out. What do you need, Michael?" "Wow, straight to the point as always. Actually, I did want to ask. My trust distribution seems to be delayed this month. Usually hits my account by the 15th. Can you check on that?" "It's not delayed," I said. "The distributions have been suspended pending a full restructuring of the trust." Silence. "Then, what do you mean, suspended?" "I mean suspended. The trustee has determined that recent family actions have created a conflict that threatens the trust's purpose and stability. Until further notice, all distributions are frozen." "You can't do that." His doctor voice, the one he used to intimidate nurses, came out. "Actually, I can. Section 7, subsection 3 of the trust documents. In the event of family discord that threatens the trust's purpose or demonstrates fiscal irresponsibility among beneficiaries, the trustee may suspend distributions pending review." Grandma Hazel was very thorough. "This is about the inheritance, isn't it? That's Madison's money. You can't punish the whole family because you're petty." "Interesting," I said. "According to Grandma's will, it was my money. But apparently, family helps family, except when it comes to me. Good night, Michael." The family group chat exploded within minutes. I watched the messages pile up, but didn't respond. Madison called 15 times. My parents called 20. I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next morning, I arrived at my office to find my entire family in the lobby. The security guard looked apologetic. "They said they were your family, Miss Chun." "Should I?" "It's fine, Robert. They won't be staying long." I led them to a conference room, professionally decorated with my degrees and certifications on the wall. The same credentials they'd never bothered to ask about or acknowledge. "How dare you?" My mother started before I'd even closed the door. "That trust money is for family." "I agree," I said, taking my seat at the head of the table. "Which is why I'm confused about yesterday. You gave away my inheritance, Grandma Hazel's specific bequest to me, because family helps family. But apparently, that only applies when I'm the one doing the helping." "That's different," Madison protested. "I have children, and I don't, which makes me less family, less deserving of my own grandmother's gift." "You have a job," Dad interjected. "You don't need money." "I have a job because I worked for it. Madison is perfectly capable of working too. But that's beside the point." I pulled out a folder. "Let's talk about need, shall we?" I spread out the papers Jennifer had prepared for me. "Madison, in the last 10 years, you've received $873,000 from Grandma Hazel's trust in emergency distributions. Car accidents, failed businesses, custody battles, medical bills for elective procedures. Not one penny repaid despite your promises." Madison's face flushed. "Those were loans from Grandma, from the trust one managed. And according to these documents, they were supposed to be repaid within 2 years. It's been 10. I turned to my parents. "Mom, Dad, you've taken $1.2 million in temporary loans against future inheritance. The vacations, the bad investments, the country club memberships you couldn't afford. All while telling me I should be sensible and not expect help. How dare you spy on us?" Mom gasped. "It's not spying when I'm the trustee. It's called doing my job. The job none of you wanted because it was boring." "What do you want?" Michael asked, ever the pragmatist. "An apology." "Fine, we're sorry. Now turn the distributions back on." "I want you to understand something," I said, standing. "Grandma Hazel left me in charge for a reason. She saw how this family treats me, like an ATM that doesn't need maintenance. Well, this ATM is now offline. You can't cut us off forever. Madison wailed. I need that money. Then perhaps you should have thought of that before taking mine, I replied. The trust will resume distributions when I determine that the beneficiaries have demonstrated fiscal responsibility and understanding of family obligations. What does that mean? Dad demanded. It means Madison needs to get a job and start repaying her loans. It means you and Mom need to attend financial counseling and create a budget that doesn't rely on trust funds. It means Michael needs to acknowledge that his sister is a person, not just a service provider. This is blackmail. Mom shrieked. No, this is fiduciary responsibility. Something Grandma Hazel understood, even if you don't. I moved toward the door. You have 6 months to demonstrate change. The trust documents allow for review at that time. Until then, I suggest you all learn what it means to be sensible with money. 6 months. Madison stood, tears streaming. How am I supposed to survive 6 months? The same way I did when I was putting myself through college while you got your third fresh start. The same way I did when I was building my career while being told I should expect nothing from family. You'll work. I opened the door. My assistant will validate your parking. Have a nice day. The aftermath was brutal but predictable. They tried everything: guilt, anger, threats of lawsuits. Michael actually consulted a lawyer, only to be told that the trust was ironclad and my actions as trustee were completely legal. Madison lasted 2 weeks before getting a job at a call center. It was the first real job she'd had in 15 years. My parents canceled their country club membership and downsized their car. Michael, who'd been living well beyond his means despite his doctor's salary, had to sell his boat. But the real shock came when they discovered the trust's actual value. During a mediation session they'd demanded, their lawyer had requested full financial disclosure. The look on their faces when they realized they'd been receiving distributions from a $50 million trust and had blown their chance at it over my $500,000 inheritance was something I'll never forget. 50 million? My mother had whispered, face pale. But we thought. Hazel said it was only 5 million. Grandma Hazel said a lot of things, I replied. But you only heard what you wanted to hear. Just like you only saw what you wanted to see in me. Madison broke first. After 3 months, she came to my apartment, not to demand or guilt trip, but to actually talk. She looked exhausted, but somehow more real than I'd seen her in years. I hate working, she admitted, slumped on my couch. But I'm good at it. They promoted me to team lead. That's great, I said, meaning it. I never realized how hard you worked. I mean, I knew you worked, but I didn't get it. How did you do this for so long without help? I didn't have a choice, I said simply. No one was going to hand me anything. She was quiet for a long moment. I'm sorry about your inheritance. It wasn't right. It was the first genuine apology I'd received from any of them. One by one, they came around. Not because they wanted the money, though they definitely did, but because the absence of it forced them to actually see each other as people. My parents started attending financial counseling and were shocked to discover they could live comfortably on their own retirement savings. Michael reached out not for money, but for advice on managing his finances. At the 6-month mark, I called a family meeting. This time, in Attorney Morrison's office where it all started. You've all shown significant progress, I began. Madison has maintained employment and started repaying her loans. Mom and Dad have created a sustainable budget. Michael has acknowledged my role in this family beyond just managing money. They sat quietly, no champagne this time, no assumptions about what they deserved. I'm prepared to reinstate the distributions, I continued, with some changes. All future loans must be approved by a family board, with clear repayment terms. Everyone contributes to a family emergency fund. And we establish a charitable foundation in Grandma Hazel's name, teaching financial literacy to young women. That's fair, my father said quietly. More than fair. There's one more thing, I added, pulling out a familiar document. My inheritance. The $500,000 you gave to Madison. Madison started to speak, but I held up my hand. I don't want it back, but I want it acknowledged that it was mine to give, not yours to take. And I want a family trust established for the next generation, all the grandchildren, equally. So no one ever feels less than because they chose a different path. The tears came then, not the manipulative tears I was used to, but real emotion. My mother reached across the table and took my hand. We failed you, she said simply. We saw your strength as an excuse to neglect you. I'm sorry. It wasn't perfect. Family never is. But over the next year, things slowly changed. Madison and I developed an actual relationship. My parents started seeing me as a person, not just the responsible one. Michael asked me to be his children's trustee, the highest compliment he could give. The trust distributions resumed, but something fundamental had shifted. They no longer saw it as their due, but as Grandma Hazel's gift, one I protected and grew for all of us. The $500,000 inheritance became a fraction of what they gained by finally seeing me as family. At Grandma Hazel's grave on the anniversary of her death, I left flowers and a note. I kept my promise. The vultures learned to sing. My phone buzzed, Madison texting about her promotion to manager, Mom sharing pictures from their modest vacation, Michael asking for advice on his daughter's college fund. Family helping family. Finally, it included me too. But they never forgot the lesson of that 6 months when $50 million vanished into thin air because they'd forgotten the golden rule. Never underestimate the quiet one who handles the money. Grandma Hazel knew. She'd given me more than an inheritance. She'd given me the power to demand the respect they'd never thought to offer. And sometimes that's worth more than all the money in the world. Though having $50 million in trust doesn't hurt either. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.